Well, what are we really worried about in retirement is it's about income. So if you can show me that rain or shine, I'll be paying my bills, well, I can take my money and do other things with it.
And welcome into Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP. Today, going over some commonly held myths and misconceptions about retirement, things that you need to carefully examine and question. Is your financial future reliant on any of these widely held beliefs? And if so, how reliable are those assumptions? We'll talk over some of the critical considerations with Tim Stearns, CFP, here on Chicagoland Retirement, Protect and Grow. Tim, always a pleasure to have you along with us. And a lot of people are relying and basing their financial future on what could be erroneous beliefs, myths, or misconceptions.
Man, I find in retirement, there are so many different myths that people come to me with. It's interesting to me that a lot of people forget the bad times in the markets. They talk about, oh, how it's been so great, now and stuff. So I try to like bring people back to realities, right? And so these 7 financial myths are just things I just want to make sure I'm not trying to pop anyone's balloon, but I want to manage expectations, as my coaches used to say, right? So the bottom line is we're going to try to manage people's expectations for what their returns are going to be, things that they think go on in the retirement days versus things that really do go on during those times. But I think that's some ground that we cover in my book. And again, Peter, with that book, we're running down to the last batch here. So I want to give out the first 10 callers that have over $1 million, the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. It's still a fresh book. It has a lot of good information in it. I just had a woman in the other day who said that book literally gave her a pause and she understood better how to get through retirement. So Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, I mean, it's a book about how your retirement's going to be a heck of a lot different than your parents' was. Maybe they had a pension, maybe they, live smaller in a different world. We need to figure out how to get through 30 plus years.
Well, if you would like a copy of that book, go ahead and pick up the phone now before we get started. Get your name on that list. First 10 to call from today's program. And if you've got that $1 million saved for retirement, you want to be as efficient and careful with it as possible. Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle is going to give you guidance and insight, perspective on some of the issues that have plagued our generation of retirement and how to address those issues head on. Some proactive strategies for planning for a more enjoyable and confident financial and retirement future. So just pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim does always offer also the ability to review and evaluate your plan. In fact, get a plan in writing, a true written, documented financial, retirement, investment, and income plan for your financial future. He calls it the Protect and Grow Plan. And if you'd like to take advantage of that, again, the number 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And going over this report today of the 7 financial myths, a third valuable offer, if you'd like to get this in your hands, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to review and evaluate, is your financial future reliant on any of these widely held beliefs, these mistakes, these misconceptions, what could be financial myths? Then give a call and Tim can get that in your hands digitally or physically, the 7 financial myths. Again, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. So Tim, the number one on this list, I know that people in their minds understand that this is not the case, but still many of us leave our financial future kind of in the wind and up to luck based on the projection that number one myth on the list, the market always goes up. We know that not to be true, and yet we set up our financial future based on it.
Well, the market always goes up is assuming that when I need my money perfectly, the market will be up and I just take my money from that. And we know that's not true. Look at just 2 years ago in 2022, the average 60-40 portfolio was down over 20%. If you look at it being down 20%, if I'm in retirement, I just started my retirement, I had $1 million. and I thought I was going to take out X. Well, now I'm taking out a little bit more because my whole portfolio is down $200,000. I have $800,000 in there, and I need to take out money to pay for groceries, my utilities, maybe even a mortgage if I still have one. These are the things that I'm seeing people, assuming that the market always goes up is not true. It's all about timing with markets. And, if we could pick our poison, we'd want to make sure that the market was up when I needed the money, but it's not always going to be that way. And we've seen that that's a phenomenon that we saw called the risk of secrets of returns risk. And those are things that we try to educate people on by having a financial plan and not trying to draw that money out when the markets are down is so important.
If the market always went up, Tim, we wouldn't have to worry about those economic cycles, those crashes,
No.
those corrections. We would not have the phrase, don't worry, the market always comes back. And now here is the good news, right? In the same breath, the market over time, historically, has not always just come back, which it has. It has always surpassed previous highs. If we can wait around long enough for that to happen, though, is the key, right? Is that the growth and the horsepower offered by exposure to the market, by investment, has been one of the best tools that we have to try to combat or stay even with or even over and above inflation. It's just that we cannot reliably live and base our comfort and confidence and life income expectancy off of the market being up always or consistently.
Right. And it's about when you take that money out. So, there's some schools of thought on this, right? I have 3 years of my expenses socked away in a checking or savings account. I don't see that being a thing for most
That
people.
just leaves that money doing nothing for you in the majority of
Absolutely.
the years when the market is up, right?
Right. And then we call that lazy money, which we run reports for that for people as well. But that's one thing. Or the other thing you could do is do a written income allocation plan. We call it the protect and grow plan that shows you, if you had, let's say, an annuity or a dividend type portfolio that is throwing off the income. Well, if the market's down, it doesn't matter to you. You don't need it to average, 10% or what have you. And the market doesn't always have to go up in that example. So that leads me to the second one is that a lot of people to this minute still think the average market return is around 10%. That might have been true in 1994 when I got in this industry. It's 2024 and the market has done far less than that, as you've talked about, Peter.
Yeah, and Tim, not only the belief in basing our financial future on the fact that the market always goes up consistently, but by this certain kind of mental benchmark that we have been taught or told or somehow come to believe that it's always going to go up at 10%. On average, even is sometimes thrown into that, and that is in and of itself a little bit of a variance. But Tim, the reality is, and you can go online, there's an online calculator, dqydj.com has real world S&P 500 returns starting month December of 1999 through ending month December of 2023. So 24 full years here, and the compound annualized return of the S&P 500, 5.073%, Tim. And then if we include inflation, adjust for inflation, that actually brings it down to 2.459%. That is a far cry off from the 10 that many people base their expectations and their financial futures on.
Right. Not to mention that you're looking at the fact that a lot of this money is going to be qualified or retirement money, and then you have to take taxes out, right? Because it's going to be from an IRA or that type of thing. So those are the things that we're trying to educate people on in our classes. Which, speaking of our classes, we have some coming up. If anyone wants more information on it, they can go to our website, as well as they can also take a look at giving us a call. And when we get that book into their hands, we can also tell them when those classes are. They can attend them via Zoom. They can come in person. And I think that's a very useful tool for people.
800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. On top of that reliance on a 10% average rate of return. Tim, you and I have gone over the math behind advertising past performance, where in a 3-year period, there's an average 10% rate of return. And actually, we end up with less money than we started with. You gain 60, you lose 50, you gain 20, and now you've got less money than you started. But over that 3-year period, it's a 10% rate of return. So people relying on that past performance or projecting out that they will get that into the future, maybe relying on myths or misconceptions where the math just doesn't support it. So another place, Tim.
To your point though, Peter, a lot of people come into our office with some sort of a illustration where it extrapolates out 10% a year for these people, and they think they're going to be living high on the hog, 20 years from now, because their markets are always going to do 10%. And I hate to break it to anyone who's been in the stock market, the market doesn't go up 10% every year. We have pullbacks, right? We saw that 2000 through 2002. Then we saw it in 2008 again, and we've seen it in 2022. The market doesn't always go up at 10% at a click. Come on. We have to be real about this.
The other part, Tim, is that making withdrawals are very different than what your money is doing while it's just staying invested. So myth number 3 has to do with the cash flow that we can generate. And I know that there's been a lot of debate on that as the wave of baby boomers has been retiring. And this very year, Tim, is actually peaking. It's cresting.
Right. I mean, this is the 4% rule was, passe in the 90s. I think most people have gotten away from that. And the latest reports I've seen are around 3% that you can take out. 4%, as I'll use this term, is aggressive. It's probably too much to be taken out of your portfolio. So, I mean, how do you plan ahead of that? Well, you should probably have an income allocation plan, right? Where you're figuring out, with these annuities, what they're paying right now with the interest rates being so high, as long as you're not hating on annuities, it's a great spot to be in, that what the income is going to be. And it's thrown off better income than I've seen in my past 30 years.
Maybe a good time to look at creating that retirement cash flow, ladies and gentlemen. May be the best time that we have seen in the last 20 to 30 years to take your lump sum and be as efficient with it as possible. Following that old 4% rule, Tim, you had $1 million, you could generate about 40,000. But in today's payout rates, where we're getting 6 or 7% payouts, maybe you only need 750 or 600,000. That just freed up a large chunk of your money to be left in growth and to be more discretionary and disposable for you. And I think that's part of the misconception about the annuities is, oh, well, this is going to lock up some money. In fact, Tim, it's quite the opposite. Oftentimes with the higher cash flows that are guaranteed, it frees up more discretionary assets and investment.
Well, what are we really worried about in retirement? It's about income. So if you can show me that rain or shine, I'll be paying my bills, well, I can take my money and do other things with it. I've had so many clients to go and do that trip that they've always wanted to do. They bought the sports car that they wanted, whatever that dream is, take the grandkids to Disney. They've done it because they know that they have a protect and grow income plan that tells them, yeah, you're allowed to spend that money because your other bills are being covered by, let's say, the annuity plus your Social Security. And that gives peace of mind. And it's proven that people that have an income allocation plan have a better psyche, right, or attitude towards retirement.
Tim, you've got another fantastic report, the 3 biggest expenses in retirement, where you detail this next one, but it's also a common financial myth here that people base their retirement on. So number 4 on this list of the 7 financial myths and misconceptions, number 4, taxes will be lower in retirement. Are you seeing that as this wave of baby boomers moves into retirement, makes that transition, that they are realizing that maybe that belief was not as ironclad and set in stone as they believed?
Well, first of all, the Trump tax plan will sunset here at the end of 2025. The taxes are the lowest they've been since the early 1980s. Before that, it was 1920s. So if you're looking for that to taxes to be lower, I think it's a huge misconception, because what's going to happen is they're going to expire at the end of 2025, these low tax rates. And then after that, who knows? Right now, it'll just reset back to where they were, which we've talked about this. The 12% goes back to 15%. That's a 25% increase. So, with that being said, what will taxes be in retirement? I think higher than what most people say. And most of the classes, when I'm teaching, say that. That being said, I'd like to offer out the tax report that we have. And that website is www.mvpcfp.com. And all you have to do is give us some of your information, tell us how much money you have in qualified plans and that type of thing. And we can give you a nice, concise report showing that if you're thinking about doing Roth conversions and that type of thing, which seems to be a very busy subject for us right now in our office, a lot of people are worried about these tax brackets changing on them at the end of 2025, that they want to do something for this year in 2024. So again, that's www.mvpcfp.com. And in that, we can give you some peace of mind knowing what your taxes are and what you could be doing to fix that.
What does that website show us, Tim?
Well, it says, if you default to the IRS, saying that this is going to be the taxes and that's the end of it, you can't do anything about it, it's going to show you a very high tax bill. On $1 million, it's almost 2/3 of the money is going to go to taxes. And you might go, well, how the heck is that going to happen? Well, number one, you're going to have to do your required minimum distributions. Okay. And then usually what I've seen with most people who are doing required minimum distributions at, let's say, 73 right now, the house is paid off, all that type of thing. The money that they're taking out, they're just reinvesting it. And guess what? Now they're paying taxes on that middle area, right? And the last thing that they'll show you is what your beneficiaries will be stuck with after your lifetime. For them to, with the Secure Act, they have to drain it within 10 years and the taxes that they'll pay. So there's 3 brackets there. You got your taxes reinvested, and then what your beneficiaries will have.
And then side by side, Tim, comparing that with being proactive and implementing your own plan.
Yeah, it's a heck of a lot less. And with that being said, I mean, why wouldn't you want to know what that is? Most people have no clue what their tax bill will be in retirement.
mvpcfp.com, mvpcfp.com, where you can go put in your own numbers. You can play with the sliders, the amount. It is completely self-programmed for your calculations to give you an estimate assumption of what the IRS's plan is for your retirement account versus what your plan could or should be, or at least what you could potentially manage to get that tax liability down to. So well worth the time, and take about 5 minutes to go put in your information, crunch your numbers at mvpcfp.com, mvpcfp.com, and you get an easy to understand layout side by side with those numbers when you go visit that site, mvpcfp.com, or you can give a call if you'd like to learn more about how to enact those proactive strategies, which you should always consult with a professional. You should take a look at the numbers, and if it looks attractive to you, which the numbers, the difference is staggering, ladies and gentlemen, you really need to see that. But before implementing, consult your financial and tax professional, and of course, Tim Stearns, CFP, and the team there at TJ Stearns Inc. Happy to help talk over the strategies that can bring that tax bill down for you, because we do not want to rely on myth number 4, that taxes will just be lower in retirement. We are seeing that that is not true, and taxes can change. They got $35 trillion in debt and counting more all the time. To me, that's future tax increases. So again, give a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, number 5 on the list here, the myths, the misconceptions. I don't need life insurance once I retire.
Well, that might be true for some people, but for most, it's not. And the reason why I'm telling you that is, think about the leverage that you can have by having life insurance. And you put some money away and you get a nice death benefit that's tax-free. Another reason that my wife and I did that is because we have the ability to pull down on that money if either of us need help with our daily activities of daily living. For example, getting dressed and feeding ourselves and that type of thing. So if you can't do 2 of the activities of daily living, my wife can tap into my life insurance policy and get money for my care. How easy is that? Right. And so it covers those bases. 7 out of 10 of us over the age of 60 are going to need that. So why wouldn't I want to make sure I have that coverage? 9 out of 10 people out there haven't even done that.
Yeah.
So that's another reason that I like life insurance. Also, to mitigate some of these taxes that are going to be on us, it helps to extrapolate your wealth, especially if you're doing a required minimum distribution rescue that I've seen a lot of people do, where they take that money and put it into a life insurance policy. And with that leverage, they're getting a nice death benefit payout for their families.
And just to have the confidence to be able to spend my money with my wife and enjoy our time, Tim, I want to give her the ability to replenish the bucket, to hit refill and reset. If something and when something eventually happens to me, that life insurance is going to provide me the confidence that I have provided her that continued confidence. So I know that there is a time and place for certain types, and younger folks with debt and kids and income to replace may need term, or that may be a very valuable way to provide extreme leverage under a worst case scenario. But under a best case scenario that I and my wife live a long time and get to enjoy ourselves, I want to provide some additional protection there. And what better way to do it? It's kind of a triple win, right? Is that refill that bucket, or pass assets along to our children tax free, or have that long-term care potential benefit and protection there. So again, myth number 5, I don't need life insurance once I retire. I think of a very wealthy echelon of people could probably have a high confidence in saying that, but that same category of people might enjoy the leverage that would provide most of all at the same time. So again, going through these 7 financial myths and misconceptions that many people's retirement is based on. Number 6, Tim, I can rely on an investment plan for retirement.
Well, I looked at the, everyone, the balance being in 60-40. People have used that since the 1950s, and it lost 20%. Investment strategies are not retirement strategies. Okay. So you have to figure out how you're going to get through retirement, and just having investments is not something that I would recommend. One of the things that we're talking about with a lot of people is, if you read the latest Tony Robbins book, he talks about the holy grail of investing. And what he says in there is that you need to have 8 to 12 different alternative vehicles to cut down 80% of your risk. I mean, that says everything. And he has in there a lot of interviews with very, very successful advisors, money managers, wealthy people. And they're saying, you can't just be in stocks and bonds. You need to be diversified. So you can't rely on just an investment plan for your retirement.
Well, again, we are talking with Tim Stearns, CFP, Chicagoland, your resource. If you would like a copy of that book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, still got a couple copies left. Be one of the first 10 callers with at least $1 million saved for your retirement or invested for your retirement and financial future. The strategies do work best for those in that category. But if you would like to get a plan put together, no matter where you're at, a written, documented, protect and grow plan, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, some might delay, say, hey, it's too late for me. We all wish we could have started earlier, done more, done this 30 years ago, but you'll never be younger than you are today, right? So myth number 7, it's too late to plan, or I don't have enough. Let's just get over that and get to planning now.
Yeah. So give us a call if we can help you, right? I mean, we went over these different myths. If you're out there and you're wondering, is it too late for me? Give us a call. I mean, we don't charge for our time, right? So if we can help someone, whether it's we set you straight with Medicare or your estate planning, what have you, we can help. It's never too late. We had a woman who was a referral, and she kept not calling, and finally she did call. And I said to her, "What took you so long, Judy?" And Judy said, "Well, you know what? I was afraid you'd tell me I couldn't retire." And guess what? She's been retired happily for 10 years. So if you're out there and you're wondering, can I retire and can I retire successfully? Give us a call, and maybe I can put your mind at ease as well.
800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Or visit online, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com. Chicagoland, your resource for that common sense approach to planning, your resource to get the written, personal, individual, your own crafted Protect and Grow written retirement income plan. Just a phone call away to get the process started, or just ask a few questions, or again, to request a copy of that book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. Tim, always a pleasure having you along and guiding us on the ride here to a more secure, confident, and enjoyable retirement.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland Certified Financial Planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals or growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.